Owning a car in the UK is no longer just about freedom, it's about survival in a system that's making driving a privilege for the few. From April 2025, every decision behind the wheel carries a price. Higher taxes, tighter emission bans, and new charges that quietly turn ordinary cars into luxury assets. Whether you drive electric or petrol, the government's new road tax overhaul is rewriting what it means to afford mobility. For millions of households, the question isn't which car to buy anymore, it's whether driving itself will still fit within the family budget at all.
Number 1. Electric vehicles now pay tax too. For years, electric vehicle owners in the United Kingdom enjoyed a complete exemption from annual road tax, officially known as Vehicle Excise Duty, or VED. That advantage ends on 1 April 2025, when the government introduces a unified tax system for all cars, regardless of how they are powered. Under the new structure, every new zero-emission car registered on or after that date will pay a first-year tax of £10, followed by the standard annual rate of £195 from the second year onward. This change reflects the Treasury's goal to balance revenue as more drivers shift from petrol and diesel to electric power. It also signals the UK's transition towards a mature electric vehicle market where incentives are replaced by consistent regulations. The move has generated strong reactions among motorists and environmental advocates. Critics argue that the change removes one of the biggest financial motivations to adopt clean technology, especially at a time when charging infrastructure and electricity prices remain inconsistent across the country. However, government officials maintain that the update creates fairness, ensuring that everyone who uses the roads contributes to their maintenance. For families who purchased EVs expecting long-term savings, this shift may slightly increase yearly costs, but it also eliminates the perception that electric cars are privileged compared to conventional ones. Drivers planning to purchase an electric car before the policy begins can still benefit from the current exemption, making early registration a practical strategy. Analysts predict that showrooms may experience a temporary sales surge before the deadline as buyers rush to secure zero-tax status. After the change, owning an EV will remain cheaper to operate than petrol or diesel models thanks to lower running costs and fewer maintenance requirements, but the financial gap between them will undoubtedly narrow.
Number 2. First-year vehicle tax rates have doubled. From 1 April 2025, the cost of owning a brand new car in the United Kingdom will rise sharply as the government introduces higher first-year vehicle excise duty rates. The first year, often referred to as the showroom tax, is based on a vehicle's CO2 emissions. Under the revised policy, rates for many emission categories will double or more, meaning new car buyers will now face upfront costs that can range from £270 to over £5,000, depending on how polluting their vehicle is. The aim is to encourage the purchase of lower emission models, while penalising gas-guzzling SUVs and performance vehicles that contribute more to carbon output. For example, a petrol car producing 90 grams CO2 per kilometre that once cost around £135 in first-year tax will now incur roughly £270. This shift represents one of the most aggressive fiscal nudges toward greener transport in recent years. Manufacturers and dealers have expressed concerns that the higher tax may discourage buyers, especially those from middle-income brackets, who cannot easily transition to electric or hybrid models. Environmental groups, however, have welcomed the update as a realistic way to hold high-emission vehicle owners accountable for their carbon footprint. The government expects the changes to generate billions in additional revenue, while reinforcing its commitment to achieving net zero emissions by 2050. For consumers, the key takeaway is timing. Buyers who register their vehicles before 1 April 2025 will be taxed under the old, cheaper system. Anyone purchasing afterwards should expect the increased rate to appear directly on their invoice. This makes emission data a crucial factor in car shopping. Whether you choose petrol, diesel, or hybrid, understanding your car's CO2 figure could now mean the difference between moderate and substantial yearly expenses.
Number 3. Standard annual rate rises to £195 for most cars. After the first registration year, almost every vehicle in the United Kingdom will fall under a new standard annual vehicle excise duty rate of £195 beginning 1 April 2025. This fixed amount applies to petrol, diesel, hybrid and even electric cars registered from 1 April 2017 onwards. Previously, electric vehicles paid nothing and hybrid models received minor discounts. The government's decision to align all categories under one rate reflects a broader effort to simplify taxation and ensure road maintenance costs are shared evenly among drivers. Though £195 may seem moderate, when combined with other motoring expenses such as insurance, parking and fuel, it contributes to the growing perception that driving in the UK is becoming a premium privilege rather than an ordinary necessity. Industry experts suggest this adjustment aims to secure a stable revenue stream as fuel duty income declines with the rise of electric cars. Since fewer people are buying petrol and diesel, the Treasury needs an alternative way to sustain its infrastructure funding. The flat rate provides predictable yearly income, reducing administrative complexity, while subtly discouraging unnecessary car ownership. Critics argue that this policy fails to reward drivers who choose low-emission vehicles, effectively removing the incentive for greener choices. However, supporters claim it promotes equality, ensuring every road user pays their fair share regardless of their vehicle's power source. For car owners, budgeting will now require factoring in this annual charge as a permanent expense. Leasing companies and dealerships expect buyers to prioritize fuel efficiency and total running costs rather than focusing solely on upfront prices. The message is clear. While cars remain a symbol of freedom and convenience, they now carry a standardized yearly fee that transforms motoring into a planned, rather than spontaneous, financial commitment.
Number 4. The £40,000 luxury car surcharge returns stronger. The UK government has reaffirmed the expensive car supplement, a measure that targets vehicles with an official list price exceeding £40,000, and this rule will continue to shape how luxury car ownership is taxed from 1 April 2025 onward. Any vehicle, whether petrol, diesel, hybrid or electric, crossing that threshold will attract an additional £425 per year on top of the standard annual rate of £195 for the first 5 years after registration. That means a total annual cost of £620 just for keeping the car on the road. The list price includes all optional extras added at purchase, meaning even mid-range models can unintentionally qualify as luxury once upgraded with features such as premium interiors, panoramic rooms or advanced technology packs. The government argues this surcharge creates a fairer system where higher-income motorists contribute more toward road upkeep and infrastructure development. However, industry observers say that the £40,000 threshold, unchanged since 2017, no longer reflects current car market realities. Inflation, rising production costs, and the shift to electric vehicles have pushed even ordinary family cars above this limit. As a result, a wide range of vehicles, from electric crossovers to plug-in hybrids, now fall into the luxury category, despite not being extravagantly priced. Car experts have urged policymakers to adjust the threshold or risk penalising mainstream buyers rather than genuine luxury owners. For buyers, awareness is critical. Many are surprised to discover that their car qualifies for the surcharge only after completing the purchase. Checking the official list price before adding optional extras can save thousands over several years. Dealerships are expected to emphasize transparent pricing, and financially conscious buyers may choose slightly lower trims to avoid crossing the £40,000 mark that redefines modern car ownership. Number 5. New first-year tax heavily based on CO2 emissions. Starting from 1 April 2025, new cars in the UK face a first-year tax built strictly around how much CO2 they emit. Rather than a small flat fee, the initial license cost now increases significantly for high-emission models, meaning manufacturers and buyers must pay more attention to the emissions figure from the outset. For example, a car emitting 76 to 90 grams CO2 per kilometre might pay around £270 in its first year, while one emitting over 255 grams per kilometre could incur on the order of £5,490. The practical upshot is that when you walk into a showroom, the tax year 1 fee may be far larger than you expect, and it is explicitly tied to CO2 emissions. This change flips the script. Previously, the tax curve penalized mainly luxury or very large cars, but now even regular models with higher emissions may carry significant first-year burdens. The shift supports government policy linking tax to environmental impact and signals that those prioritizing performance over efficiency will pay a premium right away. For a car shopper or business fleet manager, this means check the CO2 number. When comparing similar models, the one with lower emissions doesn't just save fuel and running costs, it may significantly reduce your first-year tax. If you're budgeting for a new vehicle, include that tax cost in your total cost of ownership calculation. Make sure that the quoted purchase price is paired with the correct first-year VED based on the published CO2 band.
Number 6. The hybrid and alternative fuel discount ends. From 1 April 2025, hybrid and alternative fuel vehicles will lose the small tax discount that once gave them a financial edge over conventional cars. For several years, owners of hybrids and biofuel models enjoyed about a £10 yearly reduction in their vehicle excise duty, compared with petrol and diesel drivers. The change now removes that privilege, placing every vehicle, whether hybrid, electric or combustion, under the same tax structure. Policymakers argue that this creates a level playing field while simplifying the VED system. Yet for everyday drivers, it quietly raises ownership costs. Many buyers initially chose hybrids, believing they would save money while lowering emissions. Now that calculation is far less appealing. This update reflects the government's belief that hybrids no longer represent a transitional technology deserving of incentives. Officials emphasize that today's market offers a wide range of fully electric options, so fiscal benefits should focus on encouraging zero-emission adoption instead of half measures. Environmental experts remain divided. Some support phasing out hybrid rewards to accelerate the shift toward full electrification, while others warn that removing benefits too soon could slow progress by discouraging hesitant consumers. The timing aligns with the broader 2035 petrol car phase-out plan, signaling that hybrid advantages will continue to fade in the years ahead. For motorists, the message is clear. Buying a hybrid will still reduce fuel costs, but no longer guarantees tax savings. Those considering plug-in hybrids may now re-evaluate whether paying a higher upfront price without long-term tax relief is worth it. Dealers anticipate that some customers will either commit to full EVs or remain with efficient petrol cars instead. The government hopes this policy simplifies taxation and steers consumer behavior decisively toward the cleanest technology available.
Number 7. High-emission models face dramatic first-year tax increases. From 1 April 2025, a sharp escalation in first-year vehicle excise duty puts a heavy upfront cost on vehicles with high CO2 emissions. Cars emitting 76 to 90 grams per kilometre CO2 are now taxed around £270 in the first year, about double the previous charge of £135. Meanwhile, the top emission band, over 255 grams per kilometre, reaches a staggering £5,490 in year one. This policy shift sends a clear signal. The UK government intends to make high-emission vehicles far less financially attractive. Tax now becomes part of the upfront cost rather than a smaller annual burden spread over time. Buyers comparing cars will need to factor in the first-year tax fully when evaluating total cost of ownership. If two similar vehicles differ only in emissions, the lower-emission version can offer significant tax savings in the first year alone, worth hundreds or thousands of pounds. For anyone shopping for a vehicle, the practical takeaway is to check the CO2 emissions figure and ask for the first-year VAD quote before agreeing purchase terms. Even if a car has a strong brand or features you like, a high emissions number could push your tax bill far above expectations. If you're able to register before the policy cutoff, i.e. before 1 April 2025, you may avoid the higher tax, so timing matters.
Number 8. Used cars still affected by original luxury surcharge. A lesser-known rule catching many buyers off guard is that the expensive car supplement applies not only to new vehicles but also to used cars that originally exceeded £40,000 when first registered. From 1 April 2025, this policy will remain active for the full 5-year window after the car's initial registration date. This means if you buy a 3-year-old vehicle that cost over £40,000 when new, you'll still need to pay the £425 annual surcharge until the 5-year period ends. The government introduced this to ensure fairness, preventing second-hand buyers from bypassing a tax designed for premium vehicles.
The original list price, not the resale price, determines whether the surcharge applies, so even if the car's current market value has halved, the tax remains unchanged until its 5th registration anniversary. Many used car buyers are unaware of this detail, assuming the supplement resets with ownership changes. Dealers now have a responsibility to disclose whether a vehicle is subject to the surcharge, yet some buyers only discover the extra charge when renewing their tax online. The policy particularly impacts popular executive models, luxury trims, and higher-end electric cars whose original retail prices exceeded the £40,000 limit. As a result, what seems like a great deal on the second-hand market can turn into an unexpectedly expensive purchase once the tax is applied. For practical buyers, the best defense is awareness. Always check the car's original list price using the Vehicle Inquiry Service on gov.uk before completing a sale. If the car was registered less than 5 years ago and its original price was above £40,000, expect to pay the surcharge. Waiting until the 6th registration year can save several £100s annually, proof that timing and research can make a real financial difference.
Number 9. Older cars follow different tax regimes. Cars registered before 1st April 2017 in the United Kingdom are not part of the new Vehicle Excise Duty (VED) structure. Instead, they fall under the legacy CO2-based tax system, which calculates the annual charge according to emissions rather than a flat rate. Vehicles registered between 1st March 2001 and 31st March 2017 still use these older emission bands, meaning owners of low-emission cars continue paying far less, sometimes as little as £20 or even £0 per year. Meanwhile, higher polluting cars from that era can cost over £600 annually. The key distinction is that this older model rewards low CO2 output and does not include the luxury surcharge, giving owners of efficient vehicles a financial edge compared to those purchasing post-2017 cars. The government's reasoning for maintaining these older bands is practical. Changing tax rules for every registered vehicle would be administratively complex and politically unpopular. As a result, legacy vehicles keep their existing tax framework until they are scrapped or reclassified. For many drivers, this has created an unexpected perk. Second-hand cars from the pre-2017 window often carry lower running costs than newer models, especially as newer taxes tighten. Dealers have noticed increased demand for efficient cars from this era, partly because they escape the £195 flat rate and the £40,000 luxury surcharge. For potential buyers, understanding a car's registration date has never been more important. A model just a few months older may fall into a cheaper tax band and save hundreds annually. Before buying, check the registration certificate or verify details on gov.uk's Vehicle Inquiry Service. As rules continue evolving, these older cars remain a rare sweet spot, affordable, fully legal, and less burdened by the expanding list of UK motoring taxes.
Number 10. Timing your registration can avoid extra tax burdens. The timing of when you register a vehicle now plays a critical role in how much tax you will pay. With many of the new rules coming into effect from 1st April 2025, buying and registering your car before this cutoff can lock you into the older, more favorable tax regime. For example, vehicles registered before this date may escape the heightened first-year VED band tied to CO2 emissions or avoid the newly applied expensive car supplement rules for vehicles with a list price above £40,000. In practical terms, if you're looking at a purchase, check the registration date carefully. A car registered on 31st March 2025 could pay significantly less in tax than the same model registered on 2nd April 2025, even if everything else is identical. Dealers and lease providers often mention this change in billing, especially where fleet or business contract vehicles are involved. This timing also influences second-hand purchases. If you buy a vehicle that was first registered before the new rules, you may still benefit from lower rates compared to identical models first registered after the cutoff. From a buyer's perspective, factor tax timing into your decision. When budgeting for total cost of ownership, don't just look at purchase price, fuel and maintenance, include tax effects driven by registration date. If you're flexible with timing, registering your vehicle before the rule change could yield hundreds or even thousands of pounds in savings over the first few years.
The landscape of car ownership in the United Kingdom is shifting faster than ever. What once symbolized independence and progress is gradually transforming into a regulated luxury, managed through taxes, emissions targets, and financial penalties. From electric vehicles losing their tax-free status to first-year duties doubling, these changes affect every driver, not just the wealthy or the wasteful. The government's approach aims to balance environmental goals with fiscal reality. Yet for everyday motorists, it feels like the cost of mobility keeps climbing. Even timing your purchase or registration date can now determine how much freedom you can afford on the road. Owning a car is no longer a simple lifestyle choice, it's a strategic financial decision. Every rule, surcharge, and emissions band shapes how families, commuters, and businesses plan their future around transport. Understanding these policies isn't optional, it's essential for anyone hoping to drive without financial strain. The age of cheap motoring is ending, replaced by an era where awareness and smart decisions define who keeps moving forward. If this breakdown helped you stay informed, like this video, subscribe for more updates on UK laws and economic trends, and comment below how these new rules might change your driving plans.